You only have to be right once. No one remembers your failures, just your wins. I have so many people say, man, how are you okay with failing so much? Don't you get tired of just never winning? No, it doesn't bother me because I know that I only have to be right once. Like all these failures are teaching me lessons. They're not failures. I just know 1,000 things that won't work if you apply it this way. Or if we went down that road, here's why it didn't work. So I've learned something. I've extrapolated something from that, and I know how to apply things. It's like almost like you have to fail a bunch before you know the right business plan before you get there. Should you mitigate risk? But don't get hung up on, I just got to get this right. You don't. You're not going to be right when you first start out. You just have to do it, and you're going to learn from it. How we doing, everybody? Eddie Austin here. Welcome back to the Eddie Austin BEX podcast. Today, I'm going to be the only one in the studio, and we're going to talk about some really cool stuff that is around a great book that I just finished reading this year in 2025. And, I read a lot of books. If you follow me, I'm always posting about the books I've read, and they've really helped a lot through the years. But I'm kind of switching things up, and we'll talk about that in another video. But I really want to give you the takeaways that I got from this book. And number one, the book is called How to Win at the Sport of Business by Mark Cuban. If you haven't read it, you've got to read it. It's a great book, especially if you're in business, because this book is packed with real world business wisdom. And I've been applying these lessons to my current companies and my ventures, and they've really changed the game. So let's dive right in. So number one, we got some lessons here. The first takeaway I got from this book was mastering your craft. And Cuban really emphasizes on the importance of studying and becoming an expert in your field. I know in my business, I am constantly having to educating myself on the real estate trends, economic shifts, negotiation tactics, and so on. So for Cuban's first business, he really needed to dive into that and make him the master of his craft. And number two, I get my mouse to work with me here. Sometimes running two screens, it doesn't always become flawless. I'm sure you've had that if you're running two screens. The second thing is increase your income early. And he really talks about adding income to your first position. So he's working a job at this point, and he's learned how to add income to his current job. And, he learned more and more about the tools and the business and the things that he was doing. And he was able to start consulting after hours and add income to his first position. I know Grant Cardone's talked about the exact same thing, and I am a huge proponent of this as well, that I think that you really come down to you got to focus on the first thing first before you diversify in any other things. They always talk about multiple streams of income as how the rich get rich. It's totally not true. The rich get rich by focusing on one thing for a long period of time that makes them a lot of money, and then they diversify that income in other things, it grows their assets, and it protects their wealth. So he really, honed in on increasing the income in the first position. He did that very early on. Number three is celebrating wins, but stay focused. So Cuban says it's okay to reward yourself after a financial win. I get it. When you're grinding through it, tough times, you deserve to enjoy some wins, but it's key to stay disciplined. So, at this very stage in the book, he was talking about he went out and bought some towels. A lot of people wanted to go out and, party and have a good time. And he just wanted to keep that win very small and reinvest into this company. And I think that's huge. It really is. Number four is, really personal to me, is love what you do. Anybody that follows me knows that I'm a huge proponent of, I love what I do. And I think that anybody is doing things in the entrepreneurial world or even in the actual job that you're working, you should be very passionate about the things that you're doing. You should love what you do. So if you don't love what you do, it won't work out. And then the competition will just eat you up, because anybody that is just in love with what they're doing, they will not burn out. They're not a candle. They are just passionate about it. It don't matter how many hours they work. It's not like hours to them. I think that's extremely important, to make sure that what you're doing, you love what you're doing. And if you don't, people that love it, they have the competitive advantage. So number 4 is really personal to me. Number 5, small decisions have a big impact. I know plenty of people in business, including myself when I first started out. They really get hung up on the small decisions, and it really keeps you from making a big impact in the world. And it's super unfortunate. So this one, it hits hard and it hits close to home because I know what it was like. So success isn't built on one big move. It's built on little decisions made daily. Some of the biggest companies I've ever been around or followed, they do a bunch of small things consistently. And that's really the magic, is they do a bunch of small things. It's not this one great big lever they're pulling. It's not a bunch of things they're doing. They do small decisions, and it has a big impact over a long period of time. Number 5 is definitely something that I think anybody should really think about if you're procrastinating on. If you're having trouble moving in and making that small decision because there's so many to make, just make a decision. Indecision is a decision. So just try not to get hung up on it. Okay, number 6, trust your instincts. Man, this is a good one. I can't tell you how many times in my personal business there was certain things that I knew the decision to make. Not too long ago, I was speaking with my business partner about a project we were on about 3 years ago, and I had this instinct that I knew how to save this deal that we were working in. And I said, hey, I know how to do this. I've got this hunch, and this is what we should do. And turns out 3 years later, one of the main founders, CEO of that business, they actually are doing it right now. And we were going to do it 3 years ago. So it was so cool and surreal that my instinct of that very moment could have made us look like heroes, most likely. So, that's the thing, is trust your instinct. And Cuban talks about making it or breaking the make or break call. Just follow your gut, and I've learned that hesitation kills deals, and you should just trust your instincts and just keep moving forward. Number 7, if you're a bad employee, start your own business. I know for me, I had a huge problem with, I always wanted to interject myself in every problem. I had a different idea. I felt like the company should run its way different. Here's the thing. If you're both in a boat and one person's wanting to row this way and you're wanting to row the other way, you probably need to get your own boat, because at the end of the day, it just doesn't work out. It just gets convoluted and it's not going to work out. So you're probably going to be a good entrepreneur because you just have this way of thinking about you, and you're going to be much better off just getting in your own boat and rowing your own way and letting that business do what it does. So if you hate being told what to do, number 1 sign, either you're disgruntled or you're an entrepreneur, maybe for you. And I knew early on that I was built to work. I wasn't working for somebody else, that I wanted to create my own path. Number 8 is small mistakes are okay, just don't make the big ones. I will add to this and say my favorite saying is lessons cost money, good lessons cost lots. Also, lessons cost is like tuition for college. Some things you can't learn in college, but you'll definitely learn it in business, and you have to go through it to learn it. And, I've definitely made my fair share of mistakes. So I'll repeat that. So small mistakes are okay, but it's the big ones are not. And I've made plenty of small mistakes, but I've never let them become catastrophic, meaning I wouldn't let it stop me from moving forward, making improvements. It's a mistake. Move on. Number 9, don't waste time on revenge. Just make more money. I had a business deal a few years back, lost $188,000 my own money. And I really boiled on that for a while. And I will say 100%, I have never lost an investor's dollar ever. I've always paid out of my own pocket if I needed to maintain the returns of whatever business venture or investment venture. But I've definitely lost my own money in my own deals. And this one here really took me for a loop, and I had a ton of revenge, and I really wanted to take some action. It was really counterintuitive. It really would not. I spent too much time screwing around steaming over it, and I just shouldn't have. So Cuban says getting mad at someone for stealing from you or screwing you is pointless. And I totally agree because I've been there. And I know that I could have made more money if I would have just got back up and just went after it. Number 10, win the battle you're in before starting another one. Man, it's like he wrote this number 10 for me because I can't tell you how many times I said, you know what? I think I know how to do this. I'm going to go start this because this ain't working. Well, you know how much more I had to do with fixing the battles with the last company before I started the new company? I would have been so much farther ahead if I would have just stayed on tune to what I was doing, and I would have fixed the battles, or I would have conquered the battles that I was in before taking on new battles. Because the time and energy will burn you down. So I see entrepreneurs jump from idea to idea, solidifying success before nailing down one thing and making the next move. And right now, the only thing I'm focused on is scaling my current business, no new ventures. I'm really good at saying no. And it's been probably the best thing that has made me successful, was saying no to a lot of stuff that wasn't important. The Cuban rules of business, or Cuban's business rules, I really like these. And these are breakdown in the 12 key rules. Really like it. Number 1, he starts out with sweat equity is the best equity. Start out, your biggest asset is your effort. I built my business through relentless work, and I still believe in putting in the grind before throwing money at problems. Amen. I completely agree. I think that that's probably one of the best things that I've ever done is I bootstrap everything I do, because at the end of the day, I want to teach other people how to bootstrap their companies and not just throw money at it. Anybody can take, $1 million and start a company and do very well at it, not cash flow it for the first 2 years. But there's a lot there's a lot of gratification for starting a company out of your own back pocket and doing it the long way. And, you feel so good about the sweat equity you put into it. So here's the 12 key rules for business success. Number 1, don't start a company unless you're obsessed. Passion fuels the long nights and hard decisions. Let me repeat that again. Do not start a company unless you're obsessed. Passion fuels the long nights and the hard decisions. That is so true. That is so true. And number 2, if you have an exit strategy, you're not obsessed. I built businesses that did not last and just flipped them. So if you have this exit strategy, it's the number 1 thing. It's refer to rule number 1. Rule number 1, if you're not obsessed, don't start it. And here, if you got an exit strategy, then, it's not going to be your obsessed business. You're going to end up selling it, and it's just a stepping stone. There's nothing wrong with that, because I think the most amount of money you'll ever make is in the exit. But I completely agree with that statement. Number 3, hire people who love working for you. Culture is everything. That is so true. Hiring good people that love working for you, it creates culture, and that culture is everything. Number 4, sales is a cure-all. Without revenue, you don't have a business. Everybody gets hung up on, I'm the CEO, I'm the CFO, I'm the COO, all these important roles and everything else. With no revenue, you have nothing to run. You can't scale the business. It's not a business. It's just an LLC that has members in it that are managing nothing. Don't get hung up on that. Number 5, know how you'll make money. And if you don't have a clear revenue model, rethink your business. I was watching a billionaire on a podcast today, and he said he wants to start with selling to a customer and knowing what the customer wants before he ever builds the company. I think that's extremely smart, because so many of us, we have this huge understanding of what we want to do. We build it and the market doesn't want it. And now we're stuck with this business that's cost us a lot of money. And it's an oversaturated market, or it's a market that just doesn't have traction. So that's number 5. Number 6, be great at your core competencies. Focus on what you do best and delegate the rest. I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to be the head of everything going on, and I shouldn't. I should delegate what I'm not good at to the rest of the people. That's what I'm doing with my latest company, and it has been absolutely amazing. I'm a big thinker. I'm a visionary. I can certainly execute, but I'm not a powerhouse in it. I like writing systems and processes, but I don't exactly like implementing it with all the employees. I like teaching it, and then I'm kind of done. So I'm better at creating the big vision and just keep moving. So I think that's really a good one is, be great at your core competence, be great at your core competencies and focus on what you do best and then delegate the rest. Great one. Number 7 is watch your spending, skip the fancy espresso machine. Every dollar spent should be creating value. Been guilty of this myself. There was definitely things that I thought that we needed, specialty tools, programs and everything else that were just really fancy, and they really did nothing for us besides it costs us money. Really regret buying them. So totally resonate with Mark Cuban here. Number 8, no fantasy offices, open layout, keep things efficient. And I've always valued learning functional workspace. So kind of explain this as, everybody's got this big corner office and segregated out, and they got their name on the door and managing partner and all these things. You don't have a company at this point. Like everybody just in the middle of the room and grinding away and just doing amazing things. And, it's open. So if somebody's screwing off or over there getting coffee all the time, they don't care as much about the company. Number 9, use technology. Simplicity saves time and money. Just like I went to before, we invested in, certain programs and everything else. We had a learning curve with that. It would have saved us time and money if we'd have just stuck with what we know. Use the technology. It's just like if you are a tech wizard when it comes to Microsoft computers, don't go buy an Apple when you're starting out. The learning curve is going to be a huge time suck. It's not worth it. Number 10, grow the business before adding layers of management. Titles don't build revenues, execution does. That's super important. It ties to the open office space. Nobody needs these corner offices at this time. Number 11, guilty of this one. I've done it. Actually have one of my shirts on from one of my companies. And I decided that I was going to print these things. On the back of it, it says #real estate, syndicate real estate, and syndicate real estate and be extraordinary. And I thought that thing would sell like crazy. Turns out nobody wanted to buy it because the name didn't have a brand at that point. We were just starting out. So don't waste money on swag. Your business brand grows through results and not free t-shirts. Totally resonate with that one. Number 12, never hire a PR firm to tell your story. No one knows your business like you do or your own narrative. Definitely saved myself some money by not doing this. I've always been a guy that's loud and proud about the business I'm working in. Never hired anybody, but definitely seen people that do it. This next set is a Cuban's mantras for success. I really like these. Some of these, if there's any children on the call or children, you should probably plug the ears at some point because one of these are a little harsh, but it's so true and it might make you laugh. All right. Number 1, time is valuable. Time is more valuable than money. Protect your time. And so really what he's getting at here is time is more valuable than money. I protect my time. It's the most valuable asset I have. Completely agree. Random acts of kindness is number 2. Relationship fuels business growth. Totally true. Hold the ears. No balls, no babies. Take calculated risks. So true. Take some guts sometimes to run companies and to start something new. Work hard, play hard, balance matters. Number 5, don't let fear stop you. Every big decision I've made required pushing me past fear. So true. I like to say that fear is false evidence appearing real. It is not going to get you anywhere by being afraid of something. Number 6, expect the unexpected and always be ready. Adaptability is key in business. So true. I've been able to move and shoot in every one of my companies when things was thrown at me. And sometimes I'm almost thinking that I do better under chaos than I do in when everything is okay. Number 7, it's okay to yell and be yelled at. Passion is part of leadership. I try to restrain from ever yelling at my employees, but I've definitely had some stern conversations with my fellow partners in some business ventures we did things that were very foolish, and it took some stern words and some higher voices to get my point across. 8, everyone gets knocked down. The key is how fast you get back up. I've had setbacks, but I don't waste time and I don't stay down long. Number 9, it's not about half full or half empty. It's about who's pouring. So true. Control your own destiny. So everybody gets caught up on the glass is half full, half empty. I think it's more about the contents and who's pouring the glass for you. So control your destiny. Number 10, dreaming isn't enough. Execution is everything. Ideals mean nothing without action. It's another good one. This is one that made me laugh, and I totally agree with it. Pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. Never get greedy. Never get too greedy. Win-win deals last. I've certainly seen many deals, even ones I've been involved in. We got too greedy, and we should just made a deal work, gave more up on the partnership, and who knows where it'd be today. But the deal didn't go anywhere. It got slaughtered because we got too greedy. Number 12, you only have to be right once. No one remembers your failures, just your wins. I have so many people say, man, how are you okay with failing so much? Don't you get tired of just never winning? No, it doesn't bother me because I know that I only have to be right once. Like all these failures are teaching me lessons. They're not failures. I just know 1,000 things that won't work if you apply it this way. Or if we went down that road, here's why it didn't work. So I've learned something. I've extrapolated something from that, and I know how to apply things. It's almost like you have to fail a bunch before you know the right business plan before you get there. Should you mitigate risk? But don't get hung up on, I just got to get this right. You don't. You're not going to be right when you first start out. You just have to do it, and you're going to learn from it. Nobody's counting but you, and you shouldn't count other than writing it on the wall and saying, this didn't work because of this reason. So here's my closing thoughts. Mark Cuban's book is a must read for anyone serious about business. His lessons aren't theories. They are battle-tested strategies. I'm applying these every day in my real estate and entrepreneurship and investing career. And if you're building something, just keep grinding. Stay disciplined, and remember, you only have to be right once. My audience, thank you so much for staying with me today. I hope that you got tons of value from this, and I truly hope that this was absolute value for you. I would love to see you put in the comments and subscribe to the channel, like, share it with others, and I hope that these lessons resonated with you. And I want you to talk about them. So in the comments, talk about your favorite lesson. I want to hear from you. Let's see what we can do by changing the world one step at a time, by doing extraordinary things, reading books from the people that lead, and taking those lessons and applying it to our business and keep moving. So be extraordinary, my friends. We'll see you on the next one.